Today, what we hear is all of their customers are saying, "Hey, I want access to crypto." So if you're in that situation, all of your customers are asking you about access to crypto. There's only so long where you can say, "No, actually, we don't think that's a good thing," right? Like at some point, you have to listen to your customers, right? And the groundswell now has gotten so loud that we're starting to see that transition pretty significantly.
This episode is brought to you by Proppy, which is leading the charge in putting real estate on chain. Proppy is a game changer. You can buy and sell real estate with cryptocurrencies using the Proppy platform, which is powered by a blockchain, of course. And they have a native token called Pro. And I've been an investor in the Proppy token since 2018. So Proppy is a licensed Web3 pioneer operating since 2017. They have facilitated over $4 billion in transactions. They're putting titles and deeds on chain. They use Coinbase for their crypto escrow service. So this is a great platform. And once again, they are ahead of the curve when it comes to putting real estate on chain. And they just launched a great campaign where you can earn some of the Proppy tokens. And it's simply by doing tasks such as sharing their vision video, signing up and inviting a friend, and much more. So if you'd like to learn more about Proppy, visit the link in the description. Hey folks, welcome into the Thinking Crypto podcast. I'm your host, Tony Edward, and joining me today is Shan Aggarwal, who is the Chief Business Officer at Coinbase. Shan, great to have you on.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah, Shan, recently Coinbase partnered with JPMorgan and PNC Bank. These were some of the major headlines, and I want to dive into those relationships and how you'll be working together. But let's kick it off with your background. Tell us a bit about where you're from and your professional background.
Yeah, sure. I grew up in California in San Jose, a small town called Los Gatos. I spent most of my childhood there, lived in LA for a while. I did my undergrad at UCLA, and then after college, I worked in strategy consulting as well as venture capital and growth equity before joining Coinbase in 2018. At Coinbase, I've helped build out our corporate development and Coinbase Ventures function, so all of our M&A and investing efforts. I led investor relations for a period of time, all the way through our direct listing in 2021. And then now I oversee all of those functions along with business development, strategy, execution, and analytics.
What was your first encounter with Bitcoin or crypto, and what was your aha moment?
My aha moment was in 2017. I was at that time working in early stage venture, and this was kind of the era where neobanking was on the rise. And the firm that I was at had invested in Venmo and a company called Acorns, and we were looking at all of the new neobanks that were cropping up. And I thought it was fascinating because this was the real first consumer innovation that we had seen from a tech perspective in quite a while. But as you get under the covers, you realize that a lot of these applications innovated on UI and the user experience, but the actual underlying plumbing was still the same and was relatively antiquated. And so I read the Ethereum white paper, and that was kind of like my aha moment where the way I thought about it is you could effectively have a financial system that operates like an operating system. So almost like iOS or Android, you could have that for financial use cases. And then in the future, broader use cases. So kind of bit the bug there, went down the rabbit hole, and then in 2018 wanted to dive headfirst in. So that's why I joined Coinbase.
Very nice. And tell us a bit about your role and, what's your day-to-day like? Is it building these relationships with financial institutions, bringing them into the fold of Coinbase's services?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, I oversee all the business functions, data, execution, and analytics. So I spend a lot of my time thinking about Coinbase's strategy, both at the corporate level and for each of our different business lines. Thinking about what we should prioritize, why we prioritize them, and then how do we position ourselves best to win in those areas. And then also from an external perspective, forming those relationships with large external partners that we can provide our services to, and then reciprocate value in some way. And so that includes, this year we've done quite a few partnerships with a lot of the institutional players that you mentioned, like JPMorgan and PNC. But even on the technology side, with companies like American Express, who we partnered with to launch the Coinbase One credit card, with Shopify, who has integrated our new on-chain payments protocol for enabling their millions of merchants to accept USDC as a form of payment, and many others.
That's incredible, and congrats on the success. And I mean, these are very big players in the TradFi world. Tell us a bit about how that, in pitching them, how receptive are they? Or is it more easier now than it was years ago because crypto has matured as an asset class, the technology, there's a clear delineation as to the benefits and how you can use it. Talk to us a bit about that and maybe the dichotomy how it was years ago versus now.
Yeah, it's a night and day difference. Like I mentioned, I've been in the space since 2018, and for a long while there, it sort of felt like you were chewing glass. Trying to have these conversations, really, really pushing the boulder up the hill. And in the last 12 months, the dynamic has changed completely. And I think a lot of that is due to regulatory clarity that we've started to see now over the last 9 months. Obviously, the Genius Act was a huge milestone for the industry and gave a ton of credibility to the space. And I think just collectively over the past years, you've seen more and more folks who have sort of made the crossover, where they might have been initially crypto skeptics, but they now are taking efforts to actually cater to the crypto ecosystem and seeing it for the benefits of the technology, which is really exciting for me, right? We don't hold that over to anybody. It takes different people, different periods of time to sort of like get it. But it really seems like over the last 12 months, the idea that blockchains and crypto provide a more fair, transparent, and globally accessible infrastructure for a lot of financial transactions has started to take an hold. And you hear a lot of talk about tokenization and tokenization of different asset classes. We helped start USDC in 2018, and that was really one of the first instances of quote unquote tokenization, right? It was tokenizing a dollar at that point. And I still remember in 2018 when we did that, a lot of people would ask the question, well, what's the benefit of tokenizing a dollar? Like, why would you want to do this, right? Like, what's wrong with the dollar? And now it just sort of clicks and people are realizing, well, hey, you can actually leverage tokenization to other asset classes, to public equities, to private equities, to fixed income, to corporate debt. So I think the cat is out of the bag at this point, and the conversations are a lot more productive. It's switched from pushing the boulder uphill to pushing the boulder downhill, which generally feels like a better place to be in. So that's been good.
Oh, absolutely. I bet it makes your job and your life easier, right? Um, do you think part of it, in addition to the regulatory clarity and the change in the environment around crypto in the US, is these firms also they have to make sure they're paying attention to disruptive technology or they are at the risk of being disrupted. The most popular case I think is Netflix and Blockbuster, right? And that doesn't happen overnight, but over time they start to lose market share. If I can go to stablecoin route, if I can earn better yield on stablecoin platforms or whatever it may be, why do I need a traditional checking account necessarily?
Yeah, I think basically, when you're big as a company or as an entity in the space, it's really easy to look at new things that are small and be very dismissive of them, right? They kind of look playful, they kind of look like a joke. And a lot of these things often start out in a way that seems quote unquote like unserious, right? And I think that there's a little bit of a playful element to that, but the effect is it makes it easy for a lot of people to not spend the time or energy understanding like what is the actual technological innovation. And so you see these things sort of slowly build up over time until they get too big to ignore, right? They sort of like cross the chasm. And the dynamic changes where the incumbents or the bigger companies realize, like, oh, I actually have to do this. And if I don't do this, then I will potentially be completely disrupted, right? And so I think there's a lot of, I won't name any names, but there's a lot of entities that for a long time said, hey, we don't want to offer crypto trading to our customers, right? Because we don't believe in crypto assets. We hear a lot of rhetoric about Bitcoin and Ethereum and stable coins and all of this kind of stuff. But today, what we hear is all of their customers are saying, hey, I want access to crypto. So if you're in that situation, all of your customers are asking you about access to crypto. There's only so long where you can say, no, actually, we don't think that's a good thing, right? Like at some point, you have to listen to your customers, right? And the groundswell now has gotten so loud that we're starting to see that transition pretty significantly, right? And just in the past year, we've had a number of announcements as we're trying to build this business. We call it crypto as a service, where many companies know Coinbase primarily for our first party applications. So they're applications that you use, probably Tony, I use, a lot of consumers around the world, as well as a lot of hedge funds, asset managers, and otherwise. But underneath that, we've built a lot of infrastructure to enable those products. We've built secure custody, we've built trading infrastructure, we've built staking infrastructure. And we've made that into a platform that others can access and use to offer crypto capabilities to their end users. And so now what we're seeing is like with this groundswell, a lot of those entities are coming to us and they're saying, hey, I want to offer crypto to my users too. And we're super happy about that. That's great. And we've kind of been building to this moment for quite some time. And we have all of the technology in that platform ready in a turnkey fashion to basically turn crypto on for a lot of those third parties as soon as they're ready.
And in that software as a service and these products, this product suite, is it kind of like a white label thing where JP Morgan, and we'll talk a bit more about this, they can just go offer crypto trading and the consumer doesn't necessarily need to know if Coinbase is powering the system?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And there's many large entities out there today whose crypto services are already powered by Coinbase. Like the most notable is BlackRock and all of the ETFs that you buy. You might buy those through Robinhood, Charles Schwab, E-Trade, or a third-party broker. You don't actually know, but all of the trade execution and custody is actually powered by Coinbase on the back end. And Coinbase custody is over 80% of the Bitcoin and Ethereum that underlies a lot of those ETFs. So like to your point, it is white labeled. It's not branded as Coinbase, and that's okay. We're totally fine with that because we think about it as really growing the pie where, if 5 or 10% of people could access crypto in their whatever financial accounts that they were using 2 years ago, if we can get that up to 50% or 100% over the next 3 to 5 years, we think the space is going to grow by an order of magnitude. And, that's ultimately what our mission is as a company.
I mean, kudos to you guys for doing that because it allows a lot of these institutions to hit the ground running. They don't have to spend maybe a couple of years doing R&D and building out their own services. Coinbase has already established these products. They've matured. You've gone through the fine tuning. And it's just ready to go. Like you said, turnkey.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm curious, is that something that you're hearing or seeing in conversations with folks in the space as well?
Yeah, for sure. I've spoken to quite a few of your partners and things like that. And it's really great to see how you guys have grown. I started using Coinbase back in like 2016. So it's from a small exchange to now this publicly traded company with all these great services. And
Yeah.
you're getting the clients and very big clients to use your services.
Yeah, it's an exciting time. We're very pumped about it.
Let's talk a bit about the specific partnerships. So JP Morgan, talk to us a bit which services they're going to use. And I know there's like multiple things. There's the tokenization on Base,
Yeah.
talks of crypto trading and much more.
Yeah, so JP is one of the most forward-looking banks and financial institutions on all things crypto and digital assets, and they have a very long history of innovating in this space, building out their own blockchain and a number of different efforts. And we have a long relationship with JP Morgan. We've been working with JP Morgan for many years. We worked with them closely on our IPO and a variety of corporate banking services. But most recently, the two announcements that we had was one that's focused on our consumer business as well as JP's consumer business Chase, where we've partnered to improve consumer access to crypto for all of JP's customers. And
Mm.
there's really three primary dimensions to that. The first is that Chase customers will be able to use their credit cards to purchase USDC on Coinbase. This is actually, that might not sound like a huge thing, but for a long time, credit cards have not supported crypto purchases. And as you know, in the US, particularly, credit cards are the predominant form of payment that consumers use. So that's one. The second is that Chase card holders will be able to redeem their ultimate rewards points for balances on Coinbase that they can use to fund purchases. So they can take that value that they've earned from their spend elsewhere and translate that now into crypto, which we believe is a better form of store of value for the long term. And then the third is that we're exploring a direct bank integration with Chase so that customers can directly link their Chase accounts to more seamlessly transfer data and funds between Chase and Coinbase. So that's on the consumer side. And separate from that, we've also been working very closely with the JP team on tokenization efforts to tokenize JPMD, which is a tokenized bank deposit on Base.
Mm. I was smiling and shaking my head earlier as you were saying those things because having been here since 2016, I remember the comments from Jamie Dimon. I remember the red flags being popped up if you use your credit card to invest in crypto, and now it's like it's okay. It's such a
Yeah,
big
yeah, yeah,
change.
yeah. Slowly, then suddenly is what I like to say.
Absolutely. That's incredible. And, it's going to help a lot of people come on chain, so to speak, right? To be able to participate in Web3. And a great place, I love that it starts with stable coins. You can access USDC, and sometimes it's just something that simple and that can open up open the door for you to enter into this asset class. So I really love that.
Yeah, we're super excited about it, and frankly, I think there's a lot more that we can and will do
Mm.
together with JP. So, typically we stage these things out, but we have a long-standing relationship with JP, so we this is just the start, and we're very hopeful that we can continue to expand on the relationship.
Mm. And then the other bank that you're working with is PNC. Tell us about that, and is it a similar relationship with JP Morgan?
Yeah, similar in some ways, different in others. PNC it actually falls into that camp that I was talking about, where they're hearing demand from their clients that want access to crypto, and so PNC and Coinbase are going to partner to enable crypto buy sell directly through PNC to their end customers, and so
Wow.
that'll be a white label type relationship where Coinbase is going to leverage and provide the technology that we've built for secure custody and trade infrastructure and power that through PNC's platforms so that their users can directly access crypto.
To confirm, you will be custodying the assets, not the banks will be custodying it, right?
Correct.
Okay, interesting. Do you think at some point after using your service and they figure out the logistics of everything, they may want to start their own, trading? And look, we mentioned earlier that might take years, but do you think that and I guess that's the risk of business, like,
Yeah.
customers can do that at any point.
Yeah, look, it's possible. Ultimately, custody technology takes many, many years to develop. And even once you develop, it's constantly changing because hackers' methodologies evolve all the time. Coinbase has built this foundation for over 10 years, and we're constantly on the bleeding edge, upgrading our own methods for key management and secure custody. So we believe that in that relationship, that is the best in class platform. That if it's not a core competency, it's really outside of the scope to staff a huge team to develop that de novo. But I'm sure someone will try, and we wish them the best of luck on trying that. Like we know how hard it is,
Sure.
so we're very confident in kind of the defensibility of that layer.
Mm. Talk to us a bit about how you're preparing for the volume of transactions you may have to deal with. With building all these partnerships, you have more on and off ramps, more bridges being built to Coinbase's services. How are you looking to scale latency, whatever it may be, to handle all that?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good question, Tony. You've been in crypto now since 2016, so you remember, the sign of the signal, like we're in a bear market or a bull market, is Coinbase is down.
Yeah.
That's like, oh, it's a bull market, Coinbase is down, and it's kind of funny. It's funny for us to laugh on now in retrospect, right? But like, it was painful at the time,
Sure.
and part of Coinbase's growing pains as a company. But we've invested significantly in just scaling out our technology platforms to support orders of magnitude more scale. And we feel very confident now in our foundations. And what does that tactically mean? Like over the last few years, we've completely rewritten our matching engine and how we load balance orders on the exchange. We've dissected what used to be a huge monolithic internal system into a ton of microservices. So these are just efforts that we've recognized and made a very deliberate choice to invest in to enable orders of magnitude more scale. So this is a constant effort. We'll continue to invest in these things because, again, like I mentioned, all of these entities, all of this transaction volume is going to come in. So the peaks that you plan for will seem like valleys in retrospect at some point. So we're always kind of trying to climb the next hill.
There was an announcement that Coinbase is looking to launch tokenized stocks and prediction markets as well. Will these banks be able to access those products and in the same way as they do the regular assets like Bitcoin and ETH and so forth?
Yeah, we generally, when we launch products, especially as a first party, the way that we think about it is Coinbase is sort of customer number one. So we want Coinbase to offer those to our users through Coinbase. And why is because, historically, we've kind of been on the bleeding edge of offering these products, and that's a sign of product market fit. That's like where we have our own users, our own distribution.
Hmm.
But then once we prove that product market fit out, we want to make those products available to third parties as well. And so that's generally our principle for how we develop new products at Coinbase, and it'll be the same for future products like the ones you mentioned.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. You want to test the waters, make sure everything's working, then branch out to your clients. Now, there were other announcements, and I hope I'm pronouncing this right. Opyn Markets and Liquify acquisition as well. Tell us a bit about that and how you'll be working and together and so forth.
Yeah, totally. And then today is actually a big milestone day because we just announced the closing of our acquisition of Deribit as well, very early this morning. So, yeah, a lot of good momentum on the M&A side. So, Open Markets is a team that was one of the early innovators building an on-chain perpetuals protocol. And like we have talked about for our business for Coinbase, we started mostly off-chain, but providing access to customers to hold crypto assets and buy and sell them. But with Base and TBA and increasingly more of our efforts, our goal is actually to pull more of Coinbase's business on chain. And over time, we anticipate that that will be basically every layer of Coinbase, including our exchanges, markets, all of that kind of stuff. And the Open team is going to join our efforts that's working on verified pools, which is a KYC permissioned DEX that's built on Base. And the reason that that's differentiated or important is because it's KYC permissioned, which is particularly important for trading of regulated assets or real world assets that might find their way on chain. So, while you might be able to purchase the long tail of crypto tokens on permissionless DEXs without KYC, we do think that in a regulated ecosystem, certain assets like securities and the like will likely require KYC of participants to actually engage in those markets. And so we're excited to bring the Open team together with our verified pools effort to advance that vision. Liquify, which you mentioned, is the leading token table management provider. So, every startup uses a cap table provider like a Carta or a Shareworks or something like that to manage ownership of equity in the company. And there's a similar idea for token-based projects, which is we need to understand who owns the tokens and what are the vesting conditions for different token holders. Are there tax considerations and withholding that's required if I'm paying employees in tokens and things like that? And so we've acquired Liquify and are integrating that into our institutional platform to provide that service directly to a lot of those token projects that use Coinbase as their preferred custodian.
Mm. Really great stuff. I mean, you guys are making some really big moves, and I love it. It all makes sense. Um, Talk to us a bit about with this 24/7 market, it never closes, right? It's always on, and it's a truly global market. How are you handling like staffing? And will you use like AI agents to help manage some of these things when you have to sleep, right? And
Yeah.
so on and so forth.
Yeah, very topical, very timely. I think we are investing deeply in making Coinbase an AI native company, and it permeates basically every function across the organization. We actually have an effort, we call them AI acceleration pods, that we're going to deploy to function by function to actually re-architect a lot of our processes with AI tools at the core. And this is going to be an ongoing effort. But when you talk about how do you meet the moment for both a 24/7 market, but also just for rapid scale,
Yeah.
we don't believe that the appropriate way to grow is just simply by adding more heads, but it's also just investing in what we have internally and improving the ways that we work so that we're executing more efficiently and in a more automated fashion. Um, and you've seen some of these tools come out to already for over a year. Most of our frontline consumer response has been through an AI chatbot that's been developed both in-house and using third-party tools. That's fairly robust, and we're rolling out more things on that dimension to continue to uplevel this. It's also very applicable to our compliance efforts as we think about, well, how do you predict and forecast transactions that might be bad transactions or good transactions? Yeah, huge area of focus for us, probably one of our top five priorities overall, operationally as a company.
I love that. And I was recently talking to Vlad Tenev, CEO of Robinhood, about this. I would love to log in to my apps. I use Robin, I use Coinbase as well. But let's say I will log into my Coinbase account and there's an I don't know, what do you call it, character or whatever it is, some sort of
Hmm.
robot or whatever, whatever I want to customize it. And it says, "Good morning, Tony," or "Good afternoon, Tony. Here's what's going on with your portfolio. Bam, 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 bam. Here's some suggestions. Here's some things you should know about." And it's very customized to my portfolio and how I look at the market and the things I'm interested in. And it's very personalized.
Yeah.
I can't wait for that day.
Yeah. Do you want to work at Coinbase, Tony? I think you got a good idea. Yeah, that's a good one. No, I think that you'll see something like that in the not so distant future, and it's not too hard to imagine how that interface ultimately becomes sort of like the command line for how you manage your financial assets, transactions, daily lives, right?
Mm.
And so I think every company will go through this transition. We're trying to ensure that Coinbase is, among the first and on the forefront of that. But yeah, I think you see the future to some degree.
Yeah, I would love that. It would just make my life easier as someone who is investing in crypto stocks and much more. And I think a lot of people will find that helpful, especially like let's say crypto curious or crypto newbies who are like, I don't know what the hell is happening here, but I want to get some Bitcoin in my portfolio. I want to get some Ethereum. But if the AI can, help break things down, bite-sized pieces, and it's not folks drinking from the fire hose, but it's helping them. It's holding their hand along the way.
Totally. Yeah, exactly. It's like an advisor or a co-pilot in some ways. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be really great. Well, Sean, I hope you give me credit for that when it goes live.
Yeah. No. Well, I mean, I might try to hire you after this. So.
With all these great services, we talked about the bank partnerships, financial institutions. Um, Many of them have been US based. Are you planning an international expansion on that front?
Yeah, good question. International is a huge effort for us. We've invested in international for many years, and we have a fairly thriving business in the UK, Europe, Canada, Brazil, Singapore. We've been recently making efforts to expand Coinbase into India, which I'm excited about, and then also Australia. And then with the Deribit acquisition, Deribit is actually solely ex-US, and so actually like takes Coinbase into many new markets through a market leadership position. And so, the interest that we're seeing is definitely not restricted to the US. We see a tremendous amount of interest from banks, brokerages, fintechs across a lot of the developed regions around the world, and we've done a lot of work to extend those same technology platforms to those regions and build the regulatory foundations to actually be able to cater to those types of partners there.
Mm. And then talk to us a bit about I don't know if you can share this, but your plans to go into, let's say, developing countries or countries where people don't have proper access to financial services, but let's say they have a smartphone, right? I think a lot of people
Mhm.
they don't have a computer, but they have a smartphone, and Coinbase offering these great services, being able to access US dollar stable coins and so forth. What's your strategy to, let's say, go to certain countries in Africa or whatever it may be, or in Latin America, where they can get access to these things?
Yeah, well, the beautiful thing about crypto and a lot of these on-chain products is that they're globally available and they're permissionless, right? Like anybody can sign up, anybody can use them. All you need is a smartphone and an internet connection. And Base, as an example, is available to everybody around the entire world and has a very thriving community, not just in the West and in the large developed centers, but in every pocket of the world. And then we recently launched the Base app, which is more of a consumer-facing self-custodial wallet that's similar to the protocol, is available everywhere around the world. And so we're really focused on those on-chain products and being engaged at the ground floor in a lot of these developing markets and developing countries. We have a team of over 25 base ambassadors that are embedded locally in various communities that are really focused on engaging both with developers that are building applications on base and helping make that process as seamless as possible. But then also introducing the base app to a lot of users, which we think about the base app as what we hope will be sort of like a mainstreaming moment for crypto, where you can have a fully on-chain application that is fairly robust in functionality. You have a full-featured social network, payments, trading, messaging, all directly in that app and all in a permissionless and on-chain way. And that hasn't existed yet. So in true Coinbase fashion, we've kind of taken that step first, and now we're doing the hard work from a BD and a go-to-market perspective to introduce people around the world to those products.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know it's going to take time. And, to your point, you got to have those ambassadors on the ground. And the education part is huge, right? Because a lot of this will be new to folks, but I love it. That is something that very much is a big interest to me because I have family overseas. I would love to send them stable coins, the
Mhm.
USDC, versus MoneyGram or bank transfer, and they take huge fees. But if I could send them some stable coins and they can just hold it if they want and earn the yield and or whatever, spend it,
Yeah,
cash it
yeah, yeah.
out. Yeah.
Well, if you need an invite to the base app, let me know, and we can make that happen. But you can send and receive USDC directly through there, and we pay rewards on on that USDC as well. So it's a pretty attractive value proposition.
Oh, for sure. Now, Sean, you went through a lot, but I'm going to ask anyway, what's on your roadmap? What can we expect in the next 6 months or so?
Yeah, totally. So number one is we talked a little bit about in our most recent earnings call that we're building out what we call the everything exchange. So Coinbase has historically been known for crypto assets, but we're going to broaden that out to support other asset classes, including equities and tokenized equities, prediction markets. So I think that you can expect to see an evolution from Coinbase, especially as these lines blur between what's a crypto product and what's not a crypto product into providing access to our customers to anything that they want to trade or use. So that's first. The second is bringing more of our users on chain, but through a very seamless and intuitive uh, 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 product experience that feels like your traditional banking application or brokerage application. And we call this the DeFi mullet, where you can have on the front end just a mobile application that looks like the Coinbase application and get access to on-chain financial services. And we do that by through some clever engineering and technology on the back end that actually seamlessly migrates assets into a self-custodial wallet, and then well, once it's in a self-custodial wallet, can benefit from um, on-chain financial services. So we launched in partnership with Morpho, which is one of the leading borrow lend protocols, the ability for users to take out USDC loans against Bitcoin. And the great thing about that model is we're not taking any like balance sheet risk. There's no trust in Coinbase in that scenario because we're simply providing a technology interface between the protocol and the user.
Mm.
But it's truly permissionless. So I think you can expect us to integrate more financial services, the ability to lend out assets, we recently enabled users to trade DEX assets directly through the Coinbase application. But the broader theme here in the bigger picture is just, again, blurring the lines where we're making it more accessible for everyday individuals and users to access on-chain financial services in service of our mission to bring the world on-chain.
Oh, that's great. Well, I'm looking forward to those updates, and we'll have to have you back on as they come to fruition. I did want to get your take on, the general crypto market. Obviously, we got like the market structure coming up, the vote in September. Hopefully, that everything goes according to plan. But White House cryptos are set around end of September. I think it bleeds into October. What impact do you think that will have on the market? Maybe similar to the Genius Act, just allowing more people to innovate and build and so forth.
Yeah, I think, in many ways, clarity could be uh, just as, if not much more impactful as Genius. Genius was the first, and so it was obviously a huge milestone. But if you think about what has really inhibited a lot of development of crypto technology in the US in particular, it's been a lack of clarity around how to classify crypto assets and what the requirements are for various crypto assets. And so the clarity legislation, is really focused on market structuring and forming a very clear definition for what is a commodity, what is a security, what is something totally else. And um, with that in place, I think that the regulators, the SEC, the CFTC, and others will have much clearer guidance on how to define the rules and for how that is enforced, both in the US and beyond. So, yeah, we're very much looking forward to that over the coming quarters. We think it would be a huge mark of credibility for the crypto space. It would also be great for innovation generally. As part of one of my hats that I wear at Coinbase is I help start and run Coinbase Ventures. And, for many years there, it was a very stark environment where you'd speak with the founder. And a lot of really great founders were basically just choosing not to start DeFi companies because they were scared. They didn't want to take on the SEC as a small company. And I think that's totally valid. And it's also a shame because, in the US, we are very prone to innovation. And I generally believe that the more companies that exist, the more companies that start, the more experimentation that happens, the better outcomes that we will get. Not every company will work, obviously, but you learn from
Yeah.
trying new things. And so encouraging that is really important.
Yeah, well said. Um, it seems like with, I don't know, I was thinking about this morning, all of the respective on-ramps that we need for this asset class to grow are here. Coinbase services helping the traditional banks and credit card companies and much more to be able to on-ramp customers. Trump just signed an executive order opening up 401ks to be able to participate in crypto. You have the ETFs, of course. Are there other bridges that need to be built, or is that the final boss?
The big bridge that I would point to that's probably not on a lot of people's radar is right now stablecoins are not treated as cash equivalent. And what that means is that a lot of financial plumbing, clearinghouses and such, when they take a stablecoin, if they can take a stablecoin to begin with, they usually don't credit them one to one with a dollar.
Hmm.
And so that deters the usage of a stablecoin. So, in terms of a bridge, what we would love to see is that, these products that are equivalent to a dollar are treated as such because that increases adoption and further penetration within the traditional financial system, where you could see a tremendous amount of global derivatives volume that uses USDC as a collateral, as a form of collateral, or Bitcoin as a form of collateral in the future. So that would be another example of a bridge between how capital markets works today and the crypto markets. And again, just linking those two things, I think, creates a step function increase in global adoption.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. I didn't think about that and how important that is. And I wonder, not to overthink it, but by 2030, are stable coins fully running in all the rails, the payment rails, even in domestic. And the end consumer doesn't need to know about it. Kind of like how we're talking here. We're not worried about
Yeah.
TCP and all that, right? It just works and we're able to do what we're able to do. We have lower fees, instant settlement, maybe better return yield and things like that and interest. Do you think by 2030 stable coins are powering all the payments?
Yeah, powering all the payments is a big statement. I would hope so. I think that you will definitely continue to see permeation into the financial system. And again, I think the broad theme is there's a blurring of the lines, right? Like even the term stablecoin, it's a digital dollar, right? So like over time, you might just call a stablecoin a digital dollar, and you have dollars, you have digital dollars, right? It's like you have mail, you have digital mail. We call it email, right? And so I think even the nomenclature will evolve to the point where I think right now a lot of people think about them as like in two different buckets. It's like I have dollars and I have stable coins, but over time that's just one bucket, right? That's cash equivalents. So once you have that, then when you're making a payment, you're not thinking, oh, I want to go out of my way to use a stable coin for XYZ. It's just what's the lowest cost, what's the fastest, and what's available and accessible to me. And I think once we get to that world, I feel very confident in the technological underpinnings of stablecoins to actually be able to win a large share of payments. And so, yes, one thing that we do look at is if you look at global total payment volume, TPV, like what the percentage is that is denominated in stablecoins. And it's small today, but it's growing very steadily and it's growing very rapidly. And I think if you look at a chart for the growth in card usage for payments as a comparable example, like you'll see a similar arc. And we expect that you'll see something on that dimension over the next 4 to 5 years.
Well said. Yeah, to the point of traditional mail versus email. That's a great analogy. Yeah, I'm very curious to see how this all plans out, but I'm just gonna have to be patient and sit back and watch it unfold.
Yeah, well, you're in the center of it all, so now's the best time to be in the space, and you have a bird's eye view.
Sean, great stuff. I got some wrap-up questions here for you.
Mhm.
First, if you could create your own metaverse, what would the theme be?
Um, my own metaverse, what would the theme be? I always envision that is sort of like this big library, kind of like a Harry Potter library. And it's an empty library, but every book, it sort of like opens up a new metaverse, right? So it's sort of like you can like teleport to a new place. And it's kind of like a nested world there where you can sort of like be quiet, but go jump into different situations that are happening in different and alternative universes.
Nice. Rapid fire questions. Favorite food?
My favorite food, honestly, right now I'm really into just a very good steak frite.
Hmm. Favorite musician or band?
I love this artist Toro y Moi. He's from the Bay Area, like me.
Nice. Favorite movie?
Coming to America, Eddie Murphy movie back from quite a while ago.
Yeah, I remember that. My
Yeah,
cousins and I used to watch it. It's hilarious.
yeah. As a first generation immigrant, it really translated in a different way. So.
Same. First generation immigrant as well. Favorite book?
Favorite book series? There's a series by Eoin Colfer. It's called Artemis Fowl. Also, sort of in the like sci-fi fictional category, but I loved it. It's about this younger kid, very clever, very conniving, living in kind of an alternate universe, and uh, uh, just has these very special powers to make magical things happen.
Nice. And when you're not working at Coinbase, what are you doing for fun?
Over lately, you can usually find me on a paddle court if I can find one. Yeah, I don't know if you've played paddle before, Tony, but it's kind of like tennis meets squash, and I'm mildly addicted to it. So,
Sean, absolute pleasure. Love what Coinbase is doing. And like I said, I gotta have you back on because I think you're on the forefront of getting some huge partnerships in these things and bringing the business to Coinbase. So, thank you so much, man, for joining me.
yeah, absolutely. This was great. Thanks so much.